Okay, welcome back to round 6 and 7 of the Silves Chess Open. I'll get right into it. The games were pretty bad. I can tell you that already. Okay, in round 6, I was playing against the 2000. I was playing below because I lost round 5. And, okay, he had never played the Caro-Kann, I don't think. I just expected, I think, the French and some Najdorf. But okay, he goes for this crappy system with a6. I've literally only seen this in Title Tuesdays, but okay. And I remember quickly flashing the engine and it just had like +1, so I never even looked at it. Okay, I feel like I play it in a natural way. It always like annoys me when even though I feel like the position is good for me, it always annoys me when they're playing like blitzing out everything, playing everything at tempo, because I don't know, I feel uncomfortable. Like maybe I think the position is good for me and it's not, or maybe he's gonna play all the computer moves and just equalize or something. So I always get annoyed with that. But okay, I played in a very natural way. Knight e2, c3, and I thought I was gonna get a great position around here. Um, but it's actually not so easy. So, okay, at a first glance, this is just a French structure with the bishop pair for white. And of course, like white is better here, even much better probably. But okay, what was annoying me is that I don't have a good way to deal with this pressure on d4, like a harmonious way, let's say, because this knight on e2 basically ruins my whole position. For example, if I could swap my queen with my knight, yeah, I think white would really enjoy a great stable advantage. But as things are, I cannot go bishop b2 because I really think he will take the pawn, or actually, no, he won't, but there was this trick with knight takes e5. So this was always hanging in the air. And okay, there isn't such a beautiful way to protect the pawn. I just played queen e3. This is still all fine. Now he goes a5. And here I played a good move, even though I was already thinking for quite a while. That's definitely something I have to come back to. I'm always oscillating between like whether should I think more and try to come up with better moves, or should I play faster and like save time for critical moments? And I feel like in general it should be the second one. I don't have to play too fast, but I should keep some sort of a pace, almost like in the analogy of running a marathon, right? You should try to keep a certain pace. And I was taking like 10 minutes here, 15 there, and it's just way too much. Okay, so b3. This is a nice move, I think. The computer even says b4, by the way, just giving up all the freaking pawns. But okay, b3. And this just shuts off his counterplay because he clearly wanted a4 or c4 at some point. And now I can get like rook b1 and bishop d2 and finally start developing. Okay, bishop e7. Now, unfortunately, I played a bad move. So what I wanted to do is go f4 and f5, right? The natural breakthrough in the French. And I wasn't so concerned about g6, but moreover, he has this opportunity to take and go knight c5. I feel like generally in this tournament and in my chess so far, I have been spotting the opportunities for my opponent well, at least when I'm not under time pressure. But I'm leaving so much on the table for myself. But okay, this was kind of a chance for him. So I decided to rule against that. And my point after g4 was to go king g2 and then f4. But okay, I hallucinated or just sort of lost my mind because, of course, he's not going to castle, right? And then f4, f5 is much less impactful. So I should have just played, well, first of all, rook b1, and then he'll probably do something. Maybe he would even go h5 regardless. And okay, just some king h1. And he doesn't have any counterplay, so this was just a ridiculous mistake by me to go g4 because clearly he'll go h5. And king g2 was also probably a bad move, and I should have played rook b1 because now he takes on b3. So okay, the computer shows some advantage. I also didn't think this was good for him or anything, but you're giving him a lot of unnecessary counterplay. Here I was also burning a lot of time. For example, I was trying to find a way to trap his queen here. So queen d2 just fails to cd4. Now I cannot take because this is just all under fire, and I'm not in time for bishop c2 because he just takes um, and opens up the queen. And another move that I was considering was rook b2. Again, aiming for bishop c2, but it's not even clear that after, let's say I get another move, bishop c2, queen takes e3, It's not even clear that I'm winning there, actually, even though I have some discovered attacks on his screen. Okay, I just take. We go down this path. For example, maybe he wanted something to do with this, but maybe from afar he thought this was interesting, but it doesn't lead anywhere. I can probably play knight g3 or even just queen g3. So he closes off the game, trades the rooks, and now he played very well. This idea to put the queen on a2 is really good, also very French-like. Um, so black's queen is just stuck there, but my pieces are also busy keeping it stuck there. And the queen is actually kind of annoying. Okay, f4, this is a good decision, just giving up this pawn on a3. g6. And now I should have tried to control the game a bit better and play bishop a4. So the thing is, I wasn't too sure about this kind of endgame. I was not even sure that, whether he could take on a3 or not. But probably I just have some nice initiative with f5 and knight f4. And overall, I was overly ambitious here by pushing f5. It's better to do it immediately because the knight wants to come to f4. So pretty much I missed something here tactically. After gf, gf, rook g8. I mean, I'm saying that I missed something tactically, but the best move is not even what I was considering. Again, the knight wants to come to f4, so king f3 is just the best move. It's slightly scary, but okay, the position is super close, and I'm just coming through with knight f4. I mean, these kinds of things look so natural once you're analyzing and you know it's fine, but in the game you're not really sure. There could be some sacrifice with the knights or whatever. Instead, I was considering knight g3. I'm threatening to win the game by trading and giving this discovered check. And I was trying to calculate this out, bishop h4. Okay, so here I missed that I can take fe6, nevertheless. So, of course, he cannot take with the bishop because he's losing everything. And what I missed is that he can also not take with the rook, because now, again, if he takes bishop g6, and if he doesn't, I'm taking and going like queen h6, promoting. So this is just done for. But instead, he can go like king d7. And I feel like in a practical game, this is anybody's game. And I mean, black's position looks a bit cramped, but I also have so many weaknesses. I'm not really sure who is pushing. Probably it's just some complicated equality. So something similar happens in the game, this, and now I was approaching time pressure, but mostly uh, I feel like the game wasn't going the way I wanted it to, and I just kind of lost my mind because I played this rook f2 with the idea to get the queen out of here. But okay, bishop h4 forces me to go rook f3. And for some weird reason, I thought he had to trade everything on g3 when white's position at least is stable. But my opponent didn't give me that. This queen f2 move was also horrible, just walking into the pin. Okay, now I have to come up with this funky king h3 and king g4. Okay, I'm trying to make something up. I mean, my king, if I don't blunder, my king is not really getting mated because his queen is just offside. And I'm just trying to keep his rook busy, basically, and trading on g3 will never really help him. And okay, his knights are not jumping for the time being. So I unpin my queen, and now I even want to come in with knight h5. And here the biggest problem happened after knight c6. So again, I was in time pressure, and I calculated knight h5 for like 1 minute. It's what I was gonna go for, and I was doing just like the last tactical checks, and then I noticed that this blunders everything because he's got this knight takes e5. So I wasn't even aware of this knight of this sacrifice until almost I was reaching for the knight, you know. So the way this wins is he takes, and after king f4, he has this important move, bishop g5. So just a simple attraction tactic or decoy, and then he just delivers this fork, wins everything. So okay, once I noticed that, I started just sort of panic. Maybe I had like 30 seconds or something, and I had to come up with a move, and I just panicked. Okay, I went queen e2, which defends this, but after queen a1, it's really hard for me to keep um, everything intact. The best move, by the way, was rather simple, which is rook f1. So just stepping out of this pin. I leave the knight a bit more unguarded, but again, it's fine because he cannot deliver a check, so he would have to go back. And now I can start to maybe improve my pieces a bit. Maybe bishop a4 is possible, quite possible. And then I want to go knight h5 and knight f4. Again, once the knight comes to f4, I will have some counterplay. The knight on g3 is just really misplaced. Instead, I go queen d1 here and blunder knight takes e5. Um, okay, so the way it works now is that he doesn't need bishop g5, he can just take. And what I missed it is that if king takes, he's taking on c3, collecting all the material. If queen takes, okay, he just takes this bishop. So okay, here I start to try and complicate matters a bit, and I will save this game because of the time pressure, of course. So my opponent was just completely murdering me, completely outplaying me. But okay, then he made some sort of instructive mistake that you can take for your own games, which is, and I've seen many people do this. By the way, here I wasn't avoiding a triple repetition, of course. It just so happens that I saw after playing that bishop e7 is just sort of lights out for me because I don't have the move. I'm almost in Zugzwang. So instead I went to b5. And the mistake that my opponent made was that he tried to be too fancy and try to win in a brilliant way or something. And look, in time pressure, I mean, by the way, he's in exchange and 2 pawns up, and my king obviously is the one getting mated. So any patzer, any trivial move will win this game, but you shouldn't try to win in this sort of brilliant, flashy way. For example, queen a2. Okay, look, in time pressure, you can miss all sorts of things, so it's just not really advised at all to do these kinds of things. And he will keep on making these moves. So he's quote unquote sacrificing the knight. It's not even a sacrifice because he just delivers mate after queen g2. So the whole name of the game is that I cannot allow his queen to infiltrate the position. So I play knight e2. Okay, just some sort of practical try. Of course, this is ridiculously lost. And he goes knight g1. Again, another one of these sort of stupid moves. Bishop d2. Okay, rook g8, king h5. Again, I cannot take the knight because he's just coming through with the queen. So bishop d2. I try to keep the queen stuck. The queen tries to get out. Bishop f4. This was a good move as well. Because if knight g1, yeah, queen d6. That's all she wrote. Again, threatening this mate. So bishop f4. He gives a check. And queen c5. And knight d4. And look, I mean, under severe time pressure, white is saving this game sometimes. I don't know what the percentage would be, but white is saving a fair chunk of these games. So now his knight is finally, well, it's not even hanging right now because he has rook g8. But okay, I have some idea with king g7. I have some threats, basically. Knight e6 sometimes, and most importantly, queen b1, which is the move that will save the game. So he goes knight h3, bishop e5, just attacking some stuff, and knight f2 blunders it away. So here black is still winning, but, or actually, is it after the next move? Yeah, I believe it's after the next move, knight f2, queen b1, and here black is still winning, but it's very difficult. Funny enough, queen b1 is a blunder, and his next move will be a blunder as well, but that one will actually be the last mistake of the game. And there's many to choose from. But, okay, finally I just attack his rook and threaten mate. And now he only has one move, but he still wins, actually, which is rook h6. Very, very pretty. And so, again, it's this sort of attraction. King takes, knight g4, and he collects this bishop. And okay, my king is still the weaker one, and he's up like a gazillion pawns. But it's the only move now. And by the way, because of this rook h6, which clearly was missed, the only move for white is bishop d7, which is also kind of insane. And it's also an attraction tactic, so I need to get the queen out of the way, out of like the threat of the knight with tempo, and then I can take the rook. And okay, this would still be anybody's game. Um, but queen b1, okay, he collapses finally. Bishop d6, I take the rook. And now it's just all over because, well, I'm up a piece for starters, and for seconders, I gave mate. So, okay, horrible game. Um, Pretty much, I don't know why I played g4, and I don't know why I never defended the b3 pawn. Like I thought taking on b3 was risky, but it's like it's so obvious that he's really struggling to find counterplay all of a sudden. He needs to go into some mess like this, and I couldn't see. It's not like I missed something in the calculations because I didn't see exactly um, you know that I could win the game here or anything. I just thought it was risky, but okay, he has to go for it. So instead of all this crap, just rook b1 and then king h1, and I would have just enjoyed a great position. And then in the end, I don't even know what to say. I was getting murdered in the time scramble, but then he tried to win in some sort of funny way and got punished for it. Okay, the next game, seventh round. My opponent played all sorts of rubbish, like knight f3, b3, or just some e3. Okay, he was just trying to get positions in all games. And so I prepared some stuff, and funny enough, I got surprised on move two. So I don't think he had ever played this specific combination of moves, even though, of course, it's like it's like just a normal English opening. I decided to go for a King's Indian, and I decided to go for this variation with Bishop f5. Now this was a terrible idea because simply he was blitzing his moves out, of course, and it's been a while since I've seen this variation. It's kind of dubious if White knows what he's doing, and most importantly, I have played it before. So what I obviously should have done is just played something that I've never played. Just a very simple, practical chess mistake. Okay, luckily now I remembered a game that I saw, I believe from Daniel Yufa, where he played this idea that I think the computer even says is best. So first of all, White wants to come through with e6, with f5, so I go e6 to stop it. He goes e4 to renew the threat, but now we realize that his bishop is stuck, and e5 is probably much better than c5. Um, and that's what I did, e5. So shutting out his bishop. And okay, I feel like the position here is kind of interesting. I don't think he can afford, I still haven't analyzed this properly, but I don't think he can afford to play it slow because I'm actually going to take on f4. ef4, and now I just have g5. I just have this fork coming up. What he can probably do is go knight f3, and I would probably, I don't know, I probably have some options. Maybe even giving up the bishop is an option. I don't know if I have to do that. I can also probably go knight c6 or even c5. Okay, he takes, goes d5. This looked like a very clear positional mistake to me because it's the typical situation where white enjoys some space, but the structure becomes very rigid and he cannot find any breakthroughs. Okay, so I decided to give up an exchange here. Computer says this is not best, but honestly, I barely considered that he would take it because I feel like black is really the only one playing for a win here. Unfortunately for me, it seems that black has no more than a draw as well. Because, I mean, I feel like it's kind of hard to judge this. I feel like it was a good decision to go for this exchange sack, but it just so happens that like it seems that black doesn't have enough resources to break through the position. Okay, I do this knight maneuver because I want to bring the knight to d6. I felt like that was the optimal square. I get the queen here, bishop. Okay, just playing some natural moves. Bishop g4, pinning the knight, improving the bishop, queen goes back. I was still probably spending too much time here. I was playing relatively, I mean, not fast. I wasn't slow either, but simply like all these moves, I feel like I would play in a bullet game. So it's like one of those scenarios where you look at a move, you think it's good, and then you spend like 5 or 7 minutes verifying it, and you end up playing it anyways. And the position is just so static that okay, not many chances are going to randomly appear. Okay, we got a position as such. I go bishop c8. Okay, my idea here was to go queen d7. If I get another move, well, a4 is particularly stupid, but just to show the point, queen d7, and um, it's not so easy for him to deal with this threat. Maybe he has to allocate a rook to h1, and maybe even makes some sense for him because I also kind of um, kind of tampered with my piece coordination here. Because, okay, yeah, I thought if I could provoke him to go g4, this is kind of a little success for him. So instead he goes knight h2. I came in with the queen, come in with the knight, and now this move knight g4. Again, I felt like this was the second big positional mistake of the game. I just traded, and now look, his structure is so bad that I clearly can just sit forever, not do anything, and I have a fortress, but I was trying to win this game. So I do some stuff, and then rook c8, and I'm clearly trying to go c6. Now it's funny that the computer just says c6 is a big mistake. So it goes from zeros, meaning that no side can make progress, to white being much better. And the reason for that is that after his moves, this and this, okay, I played rook c7 because probably if I take, I mean, he has some ideas either immediately or somewhere down the line to take on f7. So rook c7, I was just trying to um, control the game. But now the problem is, um, my opponent realized that taking is not so great for me. Because of course the rooks need open files. I mean, I'm also gaining some activity, but overall this protected passed pawn on d5 is so strong that once the files open up, my position becomes too loose and too shaky. So I didn't really know what to do. I went rook c8, and my idea was to go b5 or something at some point. I'm not sure what my idea was. I was probably going insane. Okay, queen f2. I missed this move. Now I have to trade the queens, and it's clear that I am no longer playing for a win. I believe the computer was showing that this is winning for white. I wasn't actually sure during the game because I have many chances to set up a fortress. Okay, some moves. I need to start repeating here. And I wasn't actually sure. Like I made this hand gesture to him, like, it's a triple repetition. But he said, I'm not sure it is. And okay, I started looking at my score sheet, but eventually decided to play on because I felt that the position was completely safe and that he could overpush. So again, the engine doesn't agree. And again, I haven't properly analyzed it, but it seems to be that white can break through and win. But during the game, I felt like my opponent could also mess this up. So okay, we keep playing, and now he goes rook h2. I didn't really understand what he was doing at this point. I decided to take on c4. Well, already here I don't really have an option. Take on c4, he goes back, knight d6, take. And okay, what I saw in the game was that in a position as such, I don't know if I'm lost. Because, again, his structure is terrible. And more importantly, I'm probably going to be able to set up a blockade on the b file, either with bishop c7 or king c7. Probably it's better to put the king here and the bishop here, so that's what ends up happening in the game. And look, I'm really not sure how white can win this game anymore. And I'm up a pawn. So I thought, again, he could overpush and lose this. And that's what should have happened. So king e2, c4, king d1. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. Because, look, my pieces are not so bad, and at some point, my pawns are also rolling through. If he takes there, I eliminate the a2 pawn. I'm up 2 pawns for the exchange, and this should be easily winning. Okay, king d4, because if I give a check immediately, he has king c3. Even this could be good, I'm not sure. But okay, king d4 makes sense, and it's a good move. Check. And now the move that basically turns the game around, because it'll go from a winning advantage to a draw, but in practical terms, and of course in the old time pressure that I seem to always find myself in, it's just hard to play for black. So here we have a forced win. I couldn't manage to find it in time pressure, and I tried to play a safe move. I tried to just stabilize the game, and ironically, that lost all control. So e4 wins, d6, e3, bishop f3 is needed because of d7 I'm just promoting, and the bishop always nicely controls this queening square, so bishop f3. And the whole point is that now that the bishop is on f3, I can execute this idea with c3. He needs to take. And now knight d3, check. Okay, he has two moves. This opposite colored bishop's endgame is obviously going to be lost because I'm even pushing e2 immediately. And these two king moves lose. So here a4 just distracts the king. And if king c2, the whole point behind this push first is that now I can get knight f1, knight e1, and I collect the bishop with this fork. Okay, you can judge for yourself how easy this is to see under time trouble. But it wasn't like, let's say, acute time trouble. Maybe I had like 3 or 4 minutes. But the decision is more like, um, you know, I saw that I could do this and so on. Maybe there's something, maybe there isn't. And I just tried to stabilize the game. But, well, it doesn't work because he goes d6. And this ruined my whole game. Okay, so my point was that, he needs to move the rook somewhere. And then I would just play bishop e7. And something like this, I believe, bishop d6 and king c5 and so on. And okay, I'm fine. His pawn is completely stuck. But d6 turns the tables round. And now he has a very simple plan to go rook c8 and d7. So I'm too slow to start pushing my pawn. So I give a check, come back with a knight. And I was trying to set up this blockade that I did in the game with knight e6. For some reason, e4 seems to be good. And only after d7 to go knight e6. Okay, I still haven't looked at this. And I'm not sure why that would be the case. But this move that I played seems to be losing. Okay, the king comes here. At least it's not so easy, I thought, in practical terms. If he takes with a rook, okay, I'll go knight d4 or c5. I think I was going to go knight c5. And okay, I still have this pawn at least. He goes rook g8, and I managed to take this pawn. So better was bishop a4, but again, this is losable for white because this pawn is not really queening anytime soon. So he decides to go into this. Now this move bishop b2 was nice, cutting off his king. And I thought that I was completely safe here. And I should be. For example, a much better idea than what I did would be to just sit around and ask white to find a winning idea. The computer was showing a slight advantage, which probably means that white can try something, but it'll be a draw, I assume. Because I have some sort of a weird fortress or blockade here, where, well, he cannot he cannot attack any of my pawns pretty much, and his king cannot march into the position. Okay, I go knight e2 because I saw that I'm winning this pawn, and I saw that this one could push through as well. But it seems that I underestimated the potential for his 3 remaining pieces to deliver checkmate. I was even getting a bit optimistic here because my pawn is running and he cannot really catch it, at least in a good way. But unfortunately, he can play for mate. So after king b6, this made my life much, much harder. I think that king d8 still holds a draw. But after king b6, bishop c8, of course I missed this crap. And, well, now he's threatening rook b7, followed by some discovered check. And wins. And okay, I panicked, went a4, and this is literally mate. I completely blind spotted king b5, where I'm still in the mix because, well, if he gives a check, my king runs away. He'll probably do bishop d7 and then some move. Again, try to weave this mating net around my king, but I'm still in it. Okay, so after this ridiculous end of the game, I lost to this 2200 player. Well, most of the game wasn't so bad, but especially in time pressure, I've just been playing horribly. I haven't been able to manage my nerves, and well, it happens. So the Open is going terribly. There's still 2 rounds left, and this will end on Saturday. Right now, as I'm recording this, we are heading into the 8th round in just 1 hour. So yeah, that's all for today, and I'll see you soon with the end of the tournament.